Lloyd lives in Kunlun village with his grandfather and older brother. Years later, he travels to Azami Kingdom, where he will be staying with the East Side witch, Marie, while he takes the soldier exam. Marie almost refuses until he produces a magic crystal, which summons his village chief, Alka, Marie's former master. Alka tells Marie to look after Lloyd. Marie learns that Lloyd, who considers himself to be weak, is actually very powerful. Lloyd defeats a monster attacking Selin, a young girl with a belt around her head. Selin reveals the belt was cursed onto her as a child and was told only great strength would remove it. However, after meeting Lloyd, the belt simply falls off, causing her to fall in love with him. Before the exam, Riho, an ex-criminal turned military cadet, senses Lloyd is extremely dangerous. Selin shows extreme jealousy when Lloyd talks to Riho. Marie reveals Kunlun is by a still undefeated dungeon containing the most powerful monsters in the country. So while Lloyd is considered weak by people from his village, he is probably one of the strongest humans in the world. After the exam, Lloyd's name is not listed amongst the candidates. Selin, Riho, and officers Murthahan and Colleen are confused as to why Lloyd failed to become a military cadet. It is announced that Princess Maria is still missing. Lloyd gets a part-time job at a cafe owned by Chrome, an ex-royal guard. Colleen discovers Lloyd failed his written test because he wrote ancient runes. Selin decides to find Marie and have Lloyd admitted to the academy as her reward. Lloyd tells Alka and Marie he will work at the cafe until the next exam. Marie tells Alka that her father, King Azami, is being controlled by someone planning war with the Jiu Empire, but Alka refuses to help as people from Kunlun are too powerful and only provide aid in situations like apocalyptic disasters. Selin gets in a fight with fellow noble student Alan Lidocaine, and her cursed belt, which she now wears at her waist, protects her, which she takes as another sign Lloyd is her soulmate. When Lloyd arrives, Selin declares he is her champion and will fight Alan for her. Alan agrees, thinking he can impress the officers. Marie swoops in and steals Lloyd away with wind magic before he can kill Alan by accident. Lloyd mistakenly assumes Marie saved him from Alan. Chrome then confronts Marie, who he recognizes as the missing Princess Maria. Marie reveals that whoever is manipulating her father will likely have him declare war at a summit in 3 days and requests Chrome's assistance. Selin, searching for Princess Maria, decides to ask Marie for help, only to furiously realize Lloyd lives with her. Just as Marie is about to reveal her true identity, Lloyd blurts out his mistaken belief. Marie is the hero who saves people in secret. Taking advantage of this, Marie claims he is a weakling. Once Lloyd leaves, Marie asks Selin and Riho for their help. Alka praises Marie for keeping Lloyd out of it, but then punishes her for dropping her magic crystal down a well. Based on information gathered from assassins searching for Marie, Chrome accuses Murthahan of cursing the king, which he admits is true. As Marie, Riho, and Selin arrive, the king suddenly reveals he is possessed by Demon Lord Abaddon, and he was actually controlling Murthahan. Marie chases after her father, hoping to use one of Lloyd's runes to free him from possession, but he breaks her hand containing the rune. Marie realizes a demon lord is something Lloyd is allowed to fight. Lloyd finds Alan hiding from Abaddon's locust monsters, and Alan is encouraged to act like a real soldier and fight. Alka later destroys the monsters for ruining her romantic plans for Lloyd. Chrome, Rio, and Selin fight Murthahan, who is turned into a locust hybrid. Lloyd arrives, and while appealing to Murthahan's desire to be a true soldier, defeats him with a slap. Marie then asks him to clean the dirt from the king's body, which he does, not knowing his cleansing rune is so powerful it purges Abaddon from the king's body. The next day, Lloyd's brother Shoma arrives but disappears before Alka sees him. Chrome rejoins the army, while Murthahan is exiled to Kunlun. With the king cured, Marie decides to remain a witch. Grateful that Lloyd helped him, Alan declares Lloyd his master and gets him admitted to the academy. Alka clashes with Selin over Lloyd and realizes her belt is a powerful protective relic that went missing from Kunlun years ago. Annoyed with everyone, Marie banishes Alka back to Kunlun through her crystal and sends Lloyd and his friends to school. Marie takes Lloyd on a job where he draws a holy sword from a stone. Colleen later announces the inter-academy match against Rokuju Academy. Selin and Lloyd decide to learn healing magic. Marie meets sisters Mina and Philo of Rokuju Academy, who are searching for Riho. Sensing Lloyd's powerful aura, Philo instinctively attacks him. Alka then turns Marie into a butterfly. Roll, Rokuju's headmistress, tries to make Riho come home, but Riho angrily refuses. Seeing Riho upset, Lloyd asks Riho on a date thanks to Marie's advice. Riho reveals Roll gave her the prosthetic mithril arm, but Rio realized mithril drains magic, and Roll only wanted the arm to draw a holy sword, so she ran away. The next day, Makona, a second-year student, tries to outdo Lloyd, but is instantly defeated. Makona goes to Marie for healing, as she has a crush on her, only to realize Lloyd lives with her. As the matches begin, Rio swears to defeat Roll. Just as it is announced, the grand prize is the holy sword Lloyd previously pulled out. Makona is later seen telling her story to Shoma. Selen duels Philo, but is disqualified when she physically strikes Philo. In the next match, Mina tries to use her water magic against Lloyd, but he ultimately wins. Later, Roll removes Rio's prosthetic. Rio then begins chanting a high-level water spell, causing Roll to pass out from fear. Roll wakes up furious and learns a witch, who lives with a young man, retrieved the holy sword. Deciding to force the witch to become her ally, she orders Philo to take the young man hostage, but Philo misunderstands and steals Alka's magic crystal. Lloyd, believing Marie has been kidnapped, rushes to find her. Philo demands Lloyd duel her to the death, but he insists they arm wrestle. Lloyd defeats Philo, who decides she wants to marry him. Alka appears from her crystal and punishes Roll following an insult. Alan saves Roll from the river and is unintentionally credited with saving the town. Rio visits Roll in hospital, and Roll remembers she only became so ambitious because she wanted to help Rio rebuild their failing orphanage. Meanwhile, an unknown magician is revealed to have been manipulating Roll's memories to get the sword so he can defeat the dungeon in Kunlun. Lloyd takes a job as a cleaner at a hotel. The owner, Koba, admits something keeps attacking his workers. A notoriously difficult guest, Lord Threonine, arrives and asks Lloyd's opinion on a cypress forest his family takes care of, and is impressed with Lloyd's answer. Later, Threonine meets one of Koba's maids, Kikyo, and shares his suspicions that Koba is illegally raising traits in the forest. He also shares his annoyance that local lord wants his daughter to marry his son, Alan. As traits are linked to demon lords, Kikyo accuses Lloyd of possession due to his abilities and is given an antidote by Threonine. She mixes it into Lloyd's tea, but it is accidentally drunk by an outraged Koba. Kikyo flees, and Koba starts to suspect Kikyo and Threonine are behind the attacks on his workers. Riho later appears as a guest, as does Selen and her father, the lord wanting her to marry Threonine's son. However, Selen is overjoyed when Lloyd appears instead, as Threonine asked Lloyd to stand in for Alan after he had passed out. Selen immediately suggests she and Lloyd go on a date so they can investigate the local area. Shoma arrives with a delivery of firebombs. Kikyo is determined to expel Lloyd's trait and convinces him to have an antidote massage, but is forced to flee when Selen sees her trying to stick the antidote down Lloyd's pants. Lloyd goes to a hot spring, not realizing it is mixed bathing, and Selen is furious when her lewd plans are interrupted by the arrival of Riho, Marie, Alka, Philo, and Mina. TQ meets Minoki, Threonine's secretary, who reveals he is responsible for the trance. The demon lord of trees, Erkling, takes over Minoki. Lloyd easily deals with the trance while Erkling heads for the hotel. Selen's father reveals he has been legally dealing in trance with Shoma. Lloyd's friends hold Erkling back with the firebombs, while Lloyd tears out Erkling's demon seed, returning Minoki to normal. Alka is later confronted by Shoma, who leaves after revealing he has been working with one of her enemies since the holy sword was removed. Selen's father cancels her arranged marriage and lets her continue her career as a soldier. Alka tries to con Lloyd into giving her a massage for her hard work, but Lloyd inadvertently performs a German suplex instead. Makona meets Shoma and a priest named Father So. Meanwhile, the king asks Lloyd and his friends to defeat a giant snake in a new dungeon. Sao decides to defeat the snake first. Alka enters the dungeon to find So. Marie finds Makona in the dungeon, infected by a trant. Lloyd fights Makona but is hurt when he protects Selen and Philo. Makona claims friends have made him weak, but Lloyd claims they helped him become a real soldier, and he defeats her. The snake is awakened and reveals he is Vritra, guardian of Kunlun and a source of Alka's power. So appears and kills Vritra, but Vritra reveals Selen's belt is made from his skin, and he avoids death by passing his soul into it. Alka admits she inadvertently created it years prior. So teleports away, promising to unlock Kunlun's dungeon. The dungeon then collapses, so Alka teleports everyone to safety. Due to a mix-up, Alan is credited with defeating Vritra, so the king grants him the title Dragon Slayer. Lloyd realizes So is the name of the hero in a Kunlun fairy tale. Alka later kidnaps Selen and Vritra, claiming she needs them in Kunlun. To celebrate peace between Azami and Gio, an exhibition match is arranged. Meanwhile, Alka, Selin, and Vritra are accompanied to Kunlun by Lloyd, Marie, and everyone else except for Alan, who is forced to fight in the exhibition match. Lloyd and company are joined by Oog, a dwarven resident of Kunlun, where they are surprised to see how overpowered the villagers are. Colleen and Chrome visit Murthafan and are disappointed he has no plans to return. Riho finds out that the people of Kunlun consider legendary dragons to be common pests, while Selin's marriage plans are foiled when several children turn her marriage licenses into weapons to drive the dragon away. Later, Selin is furious when all the girls manage to impress Lloyd's relatives except her. Elsewhere, Alka and Yug discuss Vritra in particular, revealing they erased part of Vritra's memory for an unexplained reason. Murthafan reveals to Marie he was given a mysterious egg by a traveling merchant, after which the king became possessed. And though Murthafan is unable to describe what the merchant looked like, he remembers the merchant used a particular phrase during their conversation that Marie has heard before. To ensure Alka keeps her powers, Vritra's body must be resurrected. Alka reveals that Kunlun's dungeon is actually a prison holding multiple demon lords, and the villagers are its guards. The prison also holds a mysterious power capable of affecting the entire world if misused, and the dungeon is in danger of being unlocked because Alka, being so absent-minded, forgot that Vritra was so important. Yug further reveals the key to the prison is the Holy Sword. Yug begins Vritra's resurrection into an egg, rendering Alka powerless until it hatches. Once alone with Alka, Yug betrays her, revealing that she waited for Alka to be powerless before beginning her plan to open the dungeon herself. She next sends Lloyd to search for Alka, trapping him in Kunlun, while Yug teleports everyone else back to Azami and permanently closes the portal. Riho visits Roll, who starts to remember things about the magician who altered her memories, sounding suspiciously like Yug, but Riho does not notice the significance. At the match, the king is accompanied by Shoma and Su. Suspicious, Riho asks the king to cancel the match. Meanwhile, Lloyd locates Alka and frees her. Alka uses a cannon to blast Lloyd back to Azami. Meanwhile, during the match, So suggests Azami and Jiu take over the world, but the king refuses. Murthafan arrives to fight Shoma, who admits the world is too boring, so he plans to start a war so Lloyd could become a hero. Su reveals he is an artificial being created by Alka hundreds of years ago to save the world. However, after he completed his task, he was unable to die. Therefore, his plan is to have Lloyd kill him. Lloyd suddenly arrives and accuses Yug of faking Vritra's resurrection as a prank. Realizing Alka had to lie to Lloyd due to his naivety, Marie plays along and gets him to defeat Yug's creatures. Selin steals back Vritra's egg from Yug and verbally torments him into turning back into a belt. Alka arrives with her powers restored, so So and Shoma leave. Now Lloyd is publicly a hero, taking a furious Yug with them. As Alan defended the king from So, he is once again given the credit for Lloyd's heroics. Lloyd continues living with Marie and his friends, still oblivious as to what really happened. In the midst of an origami attack, classmates Lenka Utsugi and Kota Fujiki begin training under Tsubaki's orders. Hoping to go out and destroy as much origami as he could, Lenka voluntarily undergoes a strict, daily training regimen set up by himself, but winds up constantly failing his training missions. Hoping to cheer him up, Kota takes him to the weapons factory, where he is allowed to see his god arc early. Later on, origami breach the settlement from both sides. With low numbers on the defense force, Lenka volunteers to go out and defeat the origami. Though Tsubaki turns down his request, he takes his god arc and runs outside, with attempts at stopping him proving to be useless when he activates his burst mode. Reaching the middle of town, Lenka confronts several origami as they try to kill another God Eater, but one of them knocks his God Arc out of his hand. He is then rescued by the first unit, consisting of God Eaters Soma, Lindo, and Sakuya, who easily dispatch most of the origami. Lenka then notices one remaining origami trying to kill a woman. Retrieving his God Arc, he transforms it into its gun form and kills it, impressing the members of the first unit. Lenka and the members of the first unit, most notably Sakuya, remark on the transformation of Lenka's God Arc before more origami arrive. As the first unit dispatches the origami, Lenka wishes to help, but Lindo dismisses him, telling him to hide. However, Lenka disobeys orders and fires upon multiple origami, but is injured and rushed to a medical facility. When he regains consciousness, he is locked in a holding cell by Tsubaki to await court-martial for disobeying orders. The superiors at Fenrir eventually rule that Lenka must surrender his god arc as punishment. When Johannes von Schicksal tries convincing them to let Lenka keep his god arc due to the rarity of new type users, he learns that another new type user, Elisa, is on her way from the Russia branch. During a dinner between members of the defense unit, Hibari Takeda mentions Lenka's attempts to fight the Aragami without a god arc. Lindo mentions that there was another person sharing those capabilities, but claims to not remember his identity. He then visits Lenka and asks him about the incident, where Lenka begs Lindo to teach him how to fight. Meanwhile, the planes transporting Elisa come under attack from a swarm of flying Aragami. Tsubaki issues orders to dispatch Lindo and Sakuya, but Lindo mentions Lenka as an addition, which Tsubaki accepts. Lenka is released and joins Lindo and Sakuya on the battlefield. Lindo, Sakuya, and Lenka arrive to rescue Elisa, but she insists on continuing to fight. As a new swarm of Aragami approaches, Lenka and Lindo descend onto Elisa's plane, with Lindo instructing Lenka to capture Elisa. However, Elisa retaliates, announcing her refusal to leave the plane or go with Lenka and Lindo so she could tend to other survivors of the attack, including Daigo Oguruma. Lenka explains the situation to Lindo, who explains that their only option of survival is rescuing Elisa only. Lenka refuses that course of action, and Elisa forges an alliance with him. After engaging the last of the Aragami, Elisa questions Lindo about the Far East branch's practices, displeased by their apparent disregard for anyone who is not immediately useful to them. Suddenly, Sakuya announces the approach of a new, massive oracle reaction and jumps out of the helicopter, intending to use it as a decoy. A massive Ouroboros arrives, stunning Lenka and Elisa into silence. A flashback displays the ability of oracle cells to multiply and divide massively, as an induced reaction causes the formation of what appears to be the first Aragami. Tsubaki introduces Johannes to Lenka and Elisa to the director, and Johannes tells Lenka that his actions in protecting Elisa's transport have resulted in the suspension of all charges against him for insubordination. Tsubaki informs Lenka and Elisa that they will be formally assigned to the first unit, along with Kota Fujiki. While out with Kota, Lenka sees Aegis Island on the horizon and learns that the island will be able to shelter every human on Earth once completed. Later, Lenka and Kota accompany the rest of the first unit on a mission to take down 6 Aragami. During the battle, Lindo laments Elisa's inability to fight as a team. After the mission, the first unit encounters a group of civilians who lost most of their numbers in an Aragami attack and seek shelter at the Far East branch. Though the first unit agrees to take them to the base, Lenka witnesses the entire group being turned away upon arrival because none of them were judged to be compatible with a god arc. He attempts to intervene but is stopped by Lindo. In a flashback, Johannes looks over a report regarding the incident with the Oracle cell mutation, then deletes a portion of it and replaces it with falsified information. Returning to the base, Lenka inquires about the Aegis project with Hibari, who explains that the project is not yet complete. Meanwhile, Tsubaki gives Lenka, Sakuya, Kota, and Elisa their next mission, which is to extract the cores of 2 large-type Aragami, but Sakuya has her give another mission, much to the dissatisfaction of both Lenka and Kota, who wish to hunt a large type instead. During the mission, the 4 kill 2 of the 4 targets, but are cornered by the other 2. They are saved by a Diauspida wreathed in a dark aura, which Elisa recognizes as the Aragami type that killed her parents. Flying into a rage, she charges at the Diauspida, but it incapacitates her and the others, then begins attacking nearby civilians. With Sakuya and Kota still paralyzed, Lenka and Elisa attack the Diauspida to stop it from killing more civilians, but it incapacitates both, breaks Lenka's god arc, and massacres the rest of the civilians before Lenka's eyes. Kota and Sakuya recover and distract the Diauspida long enough for Lenka to carry Elisa to safety, but the Diauspida, continuing its attack on him, breaks the fragile land bridge supporting the 3 of them, sending them all plummeting into a river below. Despite a massive wound, Lenka manages to survive his fall into the river. He discovers Elisa unconscious and uses CPR to revive her. Upon regaining consciousness at an abandoned building, Elisa learns her god arc is missing. As she leaves to look for it, she stops to see how injured Lenka is. Returning to his side, she performs basic first aid before noticing Lenka's destroyed god arc. When an Aragami attacks the area, Lenka and Elisa take shelter. Lenka comments on the effectiveness of Elisa's first aid and wonders if his god arc can be fixed, but Elisa remarks that his god arc is dead. The two then decide to sneak out to search for Elisa's god arc. Arriving back at the river, they notice the hilt of Elisa's god arc in the water, but as she goes to pick it up, she is attacked by Aragami, which triggers flashbacks of her parents' deaths and compromises her ability to fight. Lenka tries to save her and even uses his body as a human shield to protect Elisa, but Lindo arrives on the scene and saves them both. He then admonishes Lenka for his actions. Lindo decides to take Lenka and Elisa to a secret sanctuary instead of heading to the extraction point. He reveals that the area is guarded by Aragami-infused trees, which are monitored and protected by Lindo. Lenka accompanies Lindo as he harvests Aragami cells from the trees and witnesses their offensive capability when an Aragami accidentally touches the tree. Meanwhile, Elisa muses about her previous encounter with the Aragami, which continues to traumatize her. An Aragami later breaches the sanctuary and manages to evade the tree. Lindo tells Lenka to protect the sanctuary and its people, and to believe in his god arc despite its damage. Coming up with a strategy, Lenka distracts the Aragami with various attacks until he obtains ampules to damage it. However, the Aragami puts up its defense mechanism, and Lenka uses the last ampule by powering his damaged god arc, turning it into a monster that defeats the Aragami. Lindo notices Lenka's success, while Elisa helplessly watches the events. In a flashback, Johannes and his team discover the Oracle cells evading a certain cell. Afterwards, their report is denied by the government. In the present day, Johannes oversees the development of Aegis on his computer. Lenka and Elisa are rescued and brought back to the Far East branch. Lenka's god arc is sent in for repairs, while Elisa is transferred to a psychiatric ward. Meanwhile, Tsubaki tells Lindo about the Diospita, the type of Aragami Lenka fought, and mentions that Elisa has some connection to it. Lindo then goes off to explore Aegis Island. During a medical and physiological examination, Lenka learns that his internal wounds from the battle against the Pita have completely and miraculously healed. During a mission to kill a swarm of Aragami, the joint force assigned to the mission is outnumbered. Tsubaki orders a retreat, but Lenka, observing from the command center, instructs the joint force to go underground to find an exit, explaining that retreating above the ground will only result in further disaster. When it becomes clear that Lenka's plan leads to a successful mission, he is given command of the team and commended on his leadership. In the God Arc maintenance room, Sakaki informs Lenka that his god arc snapped because his compatibility rate exceeded the weapon's capabilities, not from the Diospita's attack. Lenka also learns his heightened compatibility rate is caused by his god arc's oracle cells invading his body, and this rate will increase even more and hasten his death should he wield his god arc further. In a flashback, Johannes, Sakaki, and Aisha remark on the test results of the Managarm project. An earthquake rocks the entire planet, and enormous oracle cell spires rise from the ground all over the world, destroying anything in their vicinity. A colony of oracle cells is seen gathering as the first Aragami emerges from the ground. In a flashback to the first days of the Aragami outbreak, Johannes, Sakaki, and Aisha meet in a room overlooking the destruction, and they notice a building tipped with anti-oracle cell lights, which they later called bias factor. Johannes wonders if the bias cell can be used as a weapon. In the present day, Lenka, curious about Soma's Grim Reaper nickname, realizes that Soma's surname is Shixel, the same as Johannes. Later, Tsubaki outlines further details of the placement of the Aragami guidance devices with Lenka before being called to train new recruits. Lenka asks why she stepped down as a god eater. She doesn't believe Aragami can be fully exterminated, but hopes the next generation will find a solution. Lenka and Soma are later sent on a mission to destroy more Aragami. When Soma hesitates to use his special attack against them, Lenka reaffirms that he has every right to exist as his person, as a beacon of hope rather than a harbinger of death. Hearing these words, Soma lets loose his special attack, killing the Aragami. Later, he confronts Lenka about having viewed his file and explains the futility of the Aegis plan, as Aragami can never be truly destroyed. Lenka implores Soma to pass his hope for the future onto the next generation. In another flashback, Aisha is revealed as Soma's M. 15 years earlier, a child named Iroha Utsugi and her parents are among those denied entry into Fenrir, since Fenrir only allows entry to God Arc candidates and their blood relatives, and they all test negative. Iroha's family adopt an abandoned baby and name him Lenka. 8 years later, Iroha and Lenka's mother falls ill, so they join a search party to find medicine for the sick. Aragami attacks and kills everyone, but they escape. Cornered by multiple Aragami, Lindo rescues them and imparts a test kit to Iroha. Lenka then falls ill, so his mother dies after choosing to use the remaining medicine on him. Meanwhile, Lenka tests positive for compatibility with Godark, but Iroha hides this result from him. A few years later, Aragami attacks their camp, and their father is trapped under debris. He convinces Lenka and Iroha to escape just before Aragami consumes him. After escaping, Iroha's wound infests and immobilizes her, just as Aragami surrounds their hideout. She reveals to him the results of his tests and requests him to join Fenrir. He refuses to abandon her, so she fatally slices her throat. Saddened, Lenka escapes while promising her to overturn this world. Iroha apologizes to her parents for not being able to watch over him anymore, as before the Aragami consume her. The story returns to the present, where Lenka has successfully merged with his new and evolved god Ark. God Eaters from all around the world convene in Fenrir for Operation Meteorite. After Captain Amamiya outlines the plan, she announces Lindo as the leader of the operation, but he suggests Lenka take his place. Lenka accepts the position, and all celebrate. Operation Meteorite commences, and all start killing the Aragami. Suddenly, an unknown device activates inside the dam, causing all Vajras to migrate in its direction. Lindo investigates and discovers it is also the location of a settlement of refugees denied access to Fenrir. Lindo goes to protect them alone, as Aragami thwart the other units from joining him. Lenka thus decides to leave the command center to aid Lindo. In a flashback, Johannes and Aisha expect the birth of their child, but she is unable to deliver. The doctors perform a C-section, but flesh bursts out from her womb, instantly killing everyone in the operating room. Johannes survives thanks to Paler's good luck charm, which is composed of material that deflected the oracle cells. He finds his newborn son inside the operating room and sees Aisha's whole body covered with flesh, except in one place with an oracle crystal core. Lenka, armed with a new god arc, helps Lindo fight off the Vajras. Reasoning that someone must have activated another guiding device that suddenly distracted the Aragami, Lindo sets out to find it, but encounters the Dios Pita. He fights it alone to allow the others to go protect the villagers. Lenka and the others rescue the villagers but are shocked to see the Dios Pita emerge without Lindo. Upset by his death, they engage it, and Lenka ultimately kills it before collapsing from accelerated oracle cell erosion. Upon recovering, Lenka becomes the new captain of the first unit with Elisa, Kota, Soma, and Sakuya. While Soma is on a mission, a shadow can be seen looking over him, who then brings various canned foods to an unseen man before stopping to smoke.